Good morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Friday, brought to you by Reckless Coffee Roasters. There you go. I have the mug to represent instead. You guys can use stickers and stuff like that as well. But yes, we're back in action on a Friday. We even have Anand before he flies away to like talk to Mo's parents or whatever he's gonna do in Egypt. But yes, John is with us as well. John, what's happening?
Back on the gravy train. Gravenberg is
I
back.
hear he's healthy, so
Yeah.
it's kind of scary. But and
Yeah.
on the Reckless Friday, what is happening? Are
Not
you
much,
back?
man. I am not packed. And I'm gonna be gone in 3 hours. But that's what makes Reckless Friday so reckless.
Yeah.
I wasn't even supposed to be here today, but I was reckless with it. I said, let's do it.
Yeah, see, usually I have to admit that I don't do a lot of packing. Wifey gets the basics, and then she'll be like, "What do you want?" Because I'm usually see the good thing about not packing, then you can complain about what was forgotten, and that's
Yes.
what I. But now she's on to me. She's like, "What do you want?" Because I'll be like, "Oh, you didn't bring." So now I have to she'll be like, "What do you want?" And then I just throw that in there.
And
But
and
how long are you gone?
that's why it couldn't work because I just came back from the airport. I dropped her off. She's going to California to see her family because we can't take new baby on a 16-hour flight. So we chose to do
Yes,
the
please don't for the other
yeah.
people on the plane. I am.
That is the only reason why. And then I came back and I was like, well, shit, nobody packed anything. So I just got back. I'm like, let me pack. And then I saw your message talking shit to me for not sending links. So I was like, oh, the show. Let me do that first.
Oh, that reminder you're talking about? Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah, that's ain't nothing important. Yeah, I'll be gone for 2 weeks and then I'll be
I mean,
back.
I'm sure everybody realizes that a lot goes into the production of the show. I mean, I'm sure you guys can tell
I don't
everybody
know. I
that a
just show
lot.
up.
So
I
a
just
lot
show
goes
up.
into it, and we rely on like the contributors to kind of like bring like talking topics and stuff aside from Nunes and Thiago, ideally.
Listen.
So
Here's what we always say. Put on Nunez in the last 20 minutes to bring some chaos. I'm here for the
Yeah.
chaos. You guys are here for the 90 minutes.
well, I wish he would just come in for the chaos. He's starting. Okay, so we'll get to that because
Yeah.
obviously big
Really,
game
guys?
tomorrow. Let's talk about this. Obviously, this was a headline that came out yesterday. Didn't get a chance to discuss it. I did not catch last night's show. I'm sure the boys touched upon it as well. But the Super League is
Ooh.
not back, but it's day one. The door is open. But then we did make a statement, and the club statement is pretty basic. Uh, it was almost like the club. I should, he sent me this. I know, like a lot of clubs right away said, no, we're not interested and stuff like that. But I saw a bunch of tweets, and this is the club statements. We will continue to work with fellow clubs through ECA, participate in UFA competitions. It's almost like tell them I'm not home kind of posting they put
Right.
over there. They dismissed it. Is it just me that ultimately this is in some ways happening anyway, where UFA is doing their own Super League after bitching about it because they wanted to keep the money and not the clubs get the money. Maybe it's the cynic in me. We were talking about this before we went on air, so I'll start with you, Anand, because I already shocked John with my take on it. But I feel like this shit is going to happen in 5 to 10 years anyway. They might not call it the Super League, but in some shape or format, they've already changed the format of the Champions League. It'll probably change again. Before you know it, it will be the Super League, but it won't be super. It will be like the Champions Soup Challenge or some bullshit like that. Anything not to call it super.
Sponsored by Reckless Coffee.
Sponsored
Sponsored
by
by
Record.
Reckless Coffee. Yeah. So this is it's happening. It's happening. They're already planning this. They already changed like you said, the Champions League format, and they're slowly trying to go to what the Super League is. And you know what? They said, wow, this is a great idea. We should have thought of it. So why don't we do this? Let's tell them no, and then we'll do it ourselves. And that's exactly what's going on. They say no. They oppose the Super League. Give it a couple of years. Do their own Super League. It's gonna happen. And Liverpool, no. And FSG want to be a part of the Super League. This is why that statement is drier than the Sahara Desert. They didn't make any like some clubs were like, oh hell no, we're not doing this. The club is like, we guess we kind of have to say no for now, but the door's open. And that's
Yeah.
what's going on.
I mean, I think here's the thing. At the end of the day, while all these clubs are like, no, we're not interested, we're not home, leave a message kind of a deal, nobody wants to be left out of this thing if and when it happens. And they will all be like, where are we going? Oh, I guess, sure, yeah, I don't have anything planned. And they'll show up over there. Cersei is right. As of now, the format is not changing, says UFA.
As of now.
I take that as after because this did come out yesterday. Oddly at the same time.
That's what it
they
is.
were like, wait. Let's come up with something better before
Exactly.
these guys open the door.
It's not that they're not changing it because they hurt the fans. They're not changing it because they saw that video proposal of the Super League. They're like, oh, this is brilliant. I like. Let's, guys, this is about football. Let's keep it the same way it is till next year. This is so obvious. Yeah, this is horrible.
There has to be a way where we can milk more money out of this.
Yes.
So we're
this is the funniest thing. PSG issued a statement that football is about history and merit and not about money. That's why they opposed the Super League. Really? You're what are you talking about? It's what merit? I'm done. You get my point.
John, we're the cynical old assholes. As a young buck, how do you see? I mean, we all. I guess you'll find out more and more as you get older, kids. That it's all about the monies.
Yeah.
How do you take it? And do you agree that down the road this shit is gonna happen in one format or another?
It's probably gonna. I mean, any chance for them to, increase what they have in their pockets is going to be taken advantage of. And for me, that's the bottom line. Whatever the semantics are, whatever the wording, whatever the formats it's going to be, the bottom line is how can we make more money with these group of teams? And inevitably, that's the slogan that they're going to be aspiring to. More money. And, by hook or by crook, they're going to try and get that. So, listen, you might call me a young buck, but Jordan Henderson really changed my outlook on everything. Like, I don't want to sound dramatic, right?
Yes,
club captain, did a lot for all these marginalized groups, all that. But then he sold out.
To Saudi.
Yeah, and then went to Saudi, sold out. So listen, if you're talking about my enlightenment moment, Jordan Henderson was probably that. So at this point,
just one of the few, many.
Yeah, right, one of the few. Yeah. So there we go.
Kid, you're in for so much heartbreak.
Yeah, it's downhill from here, John.
Kid, I thought Michael Owen was gonna be at Liverpool forever. I almost got his name tattooed on me, and and then I woke up one day, and my brother, who's older than me, he's a Real Madrid fan, just looks at me and goes, "Heh." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "We just signed Michael Owen." I'm like, "Huh?" And I cried for 2 weeks straight. So don't tell me, "Oh man, kid, you've got a lot going on." Fernando Torres leaving. Oh my God. Okay, I'm done. We don't need to be depressed today. Let's be happy.
Yeah, I guess, but I'll just add on to it. If Premier League clubs can control their own TV rights, and the Super League would include Premier League. Come on, Cersei, you know better than that, because Premier League cannot afford to leave. If those clubs say, take your TV rights and shove it, the TV rights that they're left holding the bag with is worthless compared to what it is now. And everybody's tuning in to watch these clubs.
And until they call, exactly, and they call Sky Sports and they'll buy the TV rights, all those clubs are going to want to be in on it. Yeah, exactly. TV rights is...
In 40 years, we'll read John's best-selling book. Jordan has the origin of the Super League.
Yeah.
How it all started. Oh, hold on. Let's get sappy.
Oh my God.
Sappy. Yeah, Ryan has been typing.
Damn, it's covering Anon.
Which probably is the best kind of message that anybody can send. So now that you guys know the secret to getting Anon off your screen, as you type more and more, Anon disappears more and more.
Peekaboo.
Just want to take the moments in the middle of the season how thankful I am that we have a team that is in top two, favorites for Europa and League Cup. FA hasn't even started. Yeah, that's coming out too. Jeez. Supposed to be a rebuilding year by our standards, like content and everything. Happy about that. I agree that we are a couple of signings from being an absolute powerhouse. Love the show. Grateful for that. Love you guys and this community. And now I'll go back to being an asshole, says Ryan.
I was clapping, but you couldn't see it because you wrote so much.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Ryan's our guy.
Here in many ways. So, and more to come, hopefully, next year. Thanks for the support as always, go grab a guy by the ear. If you're gonna be an asshole, just don't be an asshole like that. Go grab a guy by the ear and be like, "Hey, follow this shit." Okay, so we're gonna have the Super League. Okay, we got that. We got that highlight headline.
Where were we?
We didn't want to talk about. Well, I don't know about we, but definitely John wanted to talk about this.
I just show up.
Yeah, everything's a surprise to you. Okay,
Joe Gomez
made the most tackles and interceptions for LFC this season. Also averaged the most tackles and interceptions per 90. 81 per 1 point. I'm shocked actually the most probably about that. The aerial duels. It could maybe be. Is that because he's like more playing as the right back? So he's going up against the winger as opposed to the center forward. By the way,
can I say something?
Here we go. Because Nunez is on top.
No.
He jumped higher.
The reason why Gomez, when he's playing center back or right back, he's so exposed and has to make that many tackles is because Trent's at the 6 at that time. So he gets he has to. And I'm not trying to be rude, but Trent isn't covering. So the reason why Gomez has such a workload is because he's doing the job of 2 people. And this is not a joke. I am very serious.
You know what? I mean, yeah, that's very likely. As a right back, I think it's a bit more of that, being like doing those interceptions. So as he says, we're in the top 2 despite having a striker who hits the bar more than an alcoholic on a Friday night.
Sir Z, let's not start, man.
A bit too early.
It's a good Friday.
Honestly, this is the odd part. Yeah, Joey G and Timikas, or Timikas, as the podcast was calling it, are as important, are the most important players this year. We have forgotten, and I don't want to, because I do feel like, I mean, that was the other 50% of the attack on the left-hand side is Robertson, who should be back soon. January, it was the last thing. I know he's already like running and all that kind of good stuff. But so let's start with Gomez, though, John. Well, I don't know. Is he your boy? You've been going back and forth.
No, he isn't. He isn't. That's why I kind of brought him up, because I feel like he has a really decent claim, to
hurry up before they get on, because I hear the sirens.
Right, I hear the sirens too. I was just like, is this because I'm, doing a 180 on Gomez? But Gomez wasn't my boy. I felt like he was a bit shaky, especially at CB, but I feel like he's making a genuine claim to have the right back position as his own, especially since, remember last post-game show, Tim, you left, and then Kazi and I were talking about something without you around. We were talking about Trent being permanently moved to the midfield, and I feel like that's actually a viable option considering how good Gomez has been on the right back. Like, if you're talking about the reliability of having someone track back who actually can defend, who's strong enough to go up against those strong, fast wingers, who's also decent with the ball. Like, when he goes to that double pivot, he can actually drive forward with that ball and spray out that pass is pretty good as well. So this season, he's been kind of to Ryan's point, he's kind of been one of our unsung heroes this year in terms of him covering the gaps, and not even a case of, standards falling slightly. He's actually improved the standard there in terms of like defense and, playing on both ends. So yeah, it's massive praise for Gomez. And that's exactly why I brought up that stat, because I feel like he is our future right back with Trent being moved into the midfield soon.
So cringe. Well, okay, let me ask you this then. If you're moving Trent to midfield, okay, and Gomez is going where Trent is, so this is like going to be a 2-part question.
This is going
in this crazy scenario, like Godzilla 85 or some shit. Who's being eliminated from the midfield?
I knew he was going to go.
And then is Gomez playing inverted like we're using Trent right now, or is he a proper right back?
You probably play inverted. So essentially your double pivot is Trent and Gomez, which isn't too bad on the build-up.
But I thought we were just doing this inverted so we can get something out of Trent.
Oh, we're still going to be... Yeah, I get what you mean as well. But then if we have Trent primarily focused on defending that area that a 6 does, it might, sort of lessen his load into having to get back into that right back position every single time. Right, he has just that center to cover. Like, I know what y'all feel about Trent at the 6. Right, he's Still very raw in terms of like tracking back runners and everything. Still being
That's not
defensively.
raw. See, I hate when people say that's not being raw. That's just,
Well, he's raw to the position, right? He's
he's a defender.
Well,
it's not like he was a striker and we dropped him back.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
He
but
just does not track back. Like, even as a right back, he loses his guy. That's his weakness. I mean, they were talking about him as a 1v1 defender. I don't think he's as bad as a 1v1.
Okay.
But
yeah. One thing. I was going to bring it up with Kazi. I didn't get the time to. He was asking me why I think Trent in the midfield might be an option. We got away with a past his prime Stevie G playing that 6 and almost won the league with barely a good defense. Right now we have Virgil van Dijk, Ibu Konate, and probably another CB that we're going to bring in. A really good defense, right, to cover up for his faults. I think we have more than enough to make up for any defensive liability that Trent might have in that position, where his offensive side of the game more than makes up for it. Like, think of Stevie G in the 13-14 season, but like on steroids, because obviously he's much more mobile. He's younger, more athletic. He can drive forward more. And he, knock on wood, he's probably not going to slip up. So I don't know. I just see him as a very good prospect for that deep lying playmaker, because I know Klopp has used it only in a situational basis, right?
Yeah.
But seeing him spray out those passes, look at how much room he has when he puts him as that temporary 6. Like, you have people closing.
Let's make him a center back then. He'll have even more room.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean, Tim. But it's just Endo's going to be leaving this January, right? So I feel like we're
okay. So you guys are making like a temporary fix, or you guys are making this like a permanent?
I think before we go to Anon, I think this is just a temporary fix for this year, but I see it possibly becoming permanent, probably the season after or the season after next. That's my whole thing.
Anon, John is making my brain hurt over here. Help me out.
I'm just going to Egypt right now. I'm done. This is over.
Dang, I thought, for the record, before you go on, I thought she would be more on the side of the Trent player.
You know what? You thought wrong,
you, buddy.
You thought absolutely wrong. Trent at the 6 is like Nunez up top right now, useless.
Dang, I never thought I'd hear that.
Whoa!
Okay, jeez, I was like, whoa, okay.
I wasn't done.
Where's Anon? Who are you? What have you done with Anon?
I wasn't done. I wasn't done. Let me finish the statement. I knew I would get you there, but there's hope. Now, here's the thing. There is hope for him to work out over there, but I don't see it happening. He's a liability at the 6. Listen, I love the idea of him spraying past. Guys, I was trying to wake you up, okay? I was just being reckless. He is a liability defensively. You can't put a guy who's a liability defensively at the 6 because you want him to spray out some passes. If that's the case, just play him as a 10. Play him as an attacking midfield, but don't risk the most important position on the pitch because it might work out. That's a horrible idea. I am extremely against Trent playing at the 6. If Endo leaves in January, which he is, hopefully, and this is in no way sentimental, hopefully Thiago's back and fit. Hopefully Bajcetic is back and fit. And hopefully McAllister is going to continue playing at the 6 while we use Gravenberch and Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and Jones, Gravenberch and Elliott. Whatever it is, we should not risk our league position now in a freaking trial relying on Trent to play more defensive. Big risk. Absolutely not. It's a no for me.
But isn't McAllister in the 6 kind of like a square peg in a round hole kind of deal as well? Like, he can't really defend.
But right, you remember the stat you just sent about Joe Gomez, most clearances, most interceptions? Guess what? The number 6 in the league as of 2 weeks ago with the most clearances, most interceptions, most successful tackles is McAllister. So yes, that's not his position, but he's doing the job. So why change it up? Listen, if you ask me, I want McAllister at the 10 and I want Endo over there, but Endo's leaving in a couple of weeks. So stick to what we have. McAllister's working, keep him there, and rely on the likes of Elliott, the likes of Jones, Szoboszlai. Hopefully Thiago's back and fit. Hopefully Bajcetic is back and fit. But do not risk it with the Trent experiment because this is not the time to experiment. Things are working out okay for us. Let's not experiment and kind of lose the plot.
I mean, yeah, spend the money on the six. I do agree. The spine is very important. And I think going back to your point, John, the biggest difference is when you compare to like the Stevie G and what he did and stuff, is we're playing totally different way right now. Like that line is way hot, way higher, and what the CDM should be doing is totally different. I mean, he was more of a 10 playing a six or an eight playing the six, whereas we honestly need more our six to stop the, fill in the gaps, win the ball, and give it back, kind of an ordeal, as opposed to create. I like his creativity and stuff like that. I still feel like he should be the right back, obviously. And I'm not even big on this inverted thing because I think Serzi was mentioning it earlier, that it kind of makes Robo. We get more out of Robo by being like using him as a left back that he was.
Right.
But like I say, the whole tracking back thing is go back and watch the games where he has come in and played the six. I guarantee you're going to see a bunch of times where he's jogging back as they're like attacking, or like he just looks like the two guys are running by him and he's kind of like watching the ball. He gets caught ball watching, and as a six, you can't do that.
Yeah.
The problem is, people are saying like number 10 and stuff. I think we talked about this last week. There is no number 10 anymore. Like number 10 is gone. There's nobody that's just going to be like, I'm just going to create, give me the ball. That's gone. So if he's going to play further up, he has to press. But I feel like you have people there. See, now down the road, I think talking about this on the Monday night podcast. And, maybe is Soboslai, the future more replacement kind of a thing on the right wing up top. Maybe if you do that, you put Trent where Soboslai is or something like that. Maybe I can kind of see that. Just the defensive role just scares the shit out of me. But even in that role, you will get the defending you get from Soboslai, which is, I always find it a little bit attacking. So are you trying to get more out of his creativity by putting him there, John? Or is it because at the end of the day, we just need a six and he's the closest thing?
I think a little bit of both. The fact that Klopp is putting him there means like it's kind of at the back of his head. Don't you guys reckon? The fact that he's experimenting with it during situationals, during actual league games. He did it against Palace. He did it against Fulham. He did it against United, right? Where we desperately needed a goal. It's kind of at the back of his mind, I feel, because Klopp doesn't do something like, for example, Nunez at the left, Diaz at the center, where he doesn't feel like it's a genuine option. That's why I'm bringing it up a lot. So I don't know. I brought it up because I feel like it could work. Obviously, there's a lot of things that could go wrong with it, positives, negatives, and all that. But listen, I'm just going by what I think Klopp is thinking, as accurate as that can be, right? So I feel like we can actually see it happen. To Anand's point, I don't think it's going to be a permanent thing. I think it's going to be situational this year, and Klopp is going to be judging whether that's a viable option either next year or the season after based on how it goes this year, especially when Endo leaves and we don't get a six, because honestly, you're talking about cynicism, Tim. I don't think we're getting anyone this January transfer window, honestly. The fact that, all the links with Paulinho and Andre have kind of cooled off. Granted, we do our business quietly, but knowing Klopp, I think he's just going to go for another attacker instead of a six. So, yeah, that's my take on it.
So here's two things. Trent at the six is situational.
Yeah.
At United, it was 0-0. We needed a goal. You move him to the six. That is the worst thing you can do. Because you can get beat on the counterattack and he'll be watching, and boom, you got beat. That was a horrible idea. I get what you're saying, but I don't think that's such a good thing to do, because putting a liability in a time where you want to score, that means everybody's going all out attack. And then you've got a guy who can't defend, protecting your back four. Horrible idea. Two, you talked about, Stevie G at his age playing the six and doing so well. Here's the biggest difference. Off the ball, Stevie was a machine. He was so brilliant. His IQ was so high. I've watched many players in the last 25 years or so. There's only one person that I think has the same level of IQ, and it's Zidane.
Oh, okay, shit, I thought Thiago.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Listen. Thiago gets caught watching so much. Sometimes I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
And like it's happening, and he's like, hey, see, so no, I'm not even going there. But Stevie was so quick on his feet. Even when he was at his slowest, He was so quick on his feet to see what's going to happen next. And his tackling was a thing of beauty. When Stevie goes for a slide tackle, it is so. How many times do you see him getting a yellow or a red? Very rare, because he times everything so well. Trent, can't say the same for him. Gets caught watching the ball, can't really tackle. And last but not least, his football IQ was so low when it comes to defending. How many times did you see him get beat at the near post and the far post? He's just standing there and the ball is coming. He's like, oh, I'm a Scouser, and they just, they just score. So absolutely horrible. I don't agree. I wouldn't want Trent at the 6, period.
But he has done that, to John's defense. Like, Klopp has done that, and I know
he has, and I don't agree with it.
I know it's like a risk-reward kind of an ordeal.
Yeah.
Like, you need a goal, instead of throwing in a bunch of new attackers, it gives you like another option. Like, you can put another attack in midfield or another striker up top and then take your 6 out, kind of a deal.
Exactly.
So I can kind of I do kind of get that. To be fair, though, like, you talk about like Gerard's tackling. If Stevie was playing right now, he wouldn't be able to do those tackles, because if those tackles now and inch right, it's the red card. You know what I mean?
At what age? Which Stevie?
The late Stevie.
So let me ask you this: in today's lineup, would you take Stevie over any of our midfielders?
Easy.
Well, yeah, you would just put him at the 6 and you'd be done.
You put him at the 6. See? Yeah. That's what I was trying to get to. Would you take him over Endo or McAllister at the 6? Absolutely. Now, yes, with the way he was tackling back then, it's a red card every time. It's a red card every time. It's like the Roy Keanes and the Vieiras and all those guys, all those tackling that they used to do back in the day. Right now, it's a red card and a 3-game suspension and 4 VAR replays. And I mean, it's a whole story. So let's not even.
And when Stevie played the 6, we had a very soft defense as well. Right now, we didn't have a Van Dijk, we didn't have a Konate or a Matt.
We did have an Agger, and I do believe
bar injuries. Played, though. Yeah.
Bar injuries, he was a monster. Yeah, and Skirtle was. I mean, guys, come on. We also had
difference. Like, I mean, we played.
We also had Kiriakos. Come on, boys, this is a legend.
So as he says, speaking of square pegs and round holes, Nunez should not be playing in the center. Drop Diaz, push Nunez out to the left. And Ryan was mentioning that Diaz does play in the middle, but they do play different, and they
completely
do differently. Yeah. I agree, but while I agree, let me ask you this. Well, John, since you're like in the tactical mode over here, moving people around,
Allison right back.
Is that like what?
Virgil really striker,
over there, like, and he can push forward, score. Okay, so. Do you think that was just like an experiment for the needs to rest Diaz, blah, blah, blah? Or did we watch that West Ham game, who were brutal, by the way?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we should take some credit for it, but they looked horrific.
Yeah.
Do we say, yeah, this is the way to go, and we've been looking for ways to have Gakpo and Nunez on the pitch at the same time? This kind of lets you do that.
Yeah, with Nunez, he's been struggling so much lately where Klopp just wants to try something different with him. So and this time it's worked out. Like, he's so unlucky not to get a goal. If anyone deserved to get a goal in that 11, it was him. And it's just so unfortunate.
Yeah, I know.
When it bounced off the post, I was like, oh boy, this guy just kills me, I swear. But yeah, I hope it's not just an experiment thing. On the note of experiment, right? We're talking about Trent. Like, I hope it's just not an experiment, because this was done last year, right? When Salah, Gakpo in the middle, and Nunez in the left, and they kind of interchanged from time to time, but Nunez was mostly on the left, and we were kind of, last season was genuinely shit, like most of the time. But that during that stretch, we were actually okay. So I hope Klopp kind of does that to help Darwin rediscover his confidence. Like, with him in the left, I feel like he has less decisions to make. Like, either he cuts in or he passes it to Tsimikas to recycle the ball. Like, less thinking. The less thinking Darwin has to do, I think the better player he is. So if him there on the left, like, Diaz hasn't exactly stood out and Jota is injured. For me, we absolutely have nothing to lose to play him there. Gakpo at the center is always going to give us, all the good things he gives, which is good build-up play, intelligence, and all that. So I think it's the way to go. I don't know if he's actually going to do it against Arsenal, but I hope he does. Because the fact that he put in Nunez for 90, right? And Gakpo he took out early. So the logical side of my perspective says he's probably going to go Salah, Gakpo, Diaz. But I genuinely hope he goes Salah, Gakpo, Nunez, because Nunez on the left, I think is the way to go.
Um, by the way, Ryan said before we move away from
Yeah.
that conversation and go further, dive into Nunez. Honestly, think United was one of the better defensive. I mean, one, they didn't
Low bar.
attack, and two, I mean, I think if you go back and look in any situation where we were like, holy shit, and we're in danger, I guarantee you, Trent is not in your TV screen. And that's a problem when your defensive midfielder or your right back is not on your screen when there's danger in our goal. I can guarantee you, you go back every time we were in danger, Fabinho was somewhere in the vicinity in the past. Your defensive midfielder has to be there. He's always, I felt like, behind the play. That, him at the 6 in those games where we try to score, I feel like it's kind of like a risk reward thing. Kazi says, I don't even think Darwin ties his own shoelaces. You were shaking your head in denial that Darwin is not struggling. So I don't know if you're watching old footage, Anan, but okay.
Darwin is doing everything right except scoring.
This last game, yes.
Yeah. I agree.
And the game before, and the game before, and the game. He's doing everything right except scoring. He's getting caught offside. What striker isn't? Filippo Inzaghi is one of the most offside players in the history of the game. But guess what? He got goals. Darwin is going to get there. Darwin's going to get there. You guys remember Peter
setting
Crouch?
Himself up for that one.
Peter Crouch took so long to score his first goal, but then he took off. Darwin is going to be just fine. He's going to get goals. His struggle is putting the ball in the back of the net. And listen, for an 80 million pound striker, he needs to be doing that. End of discussion. That's why I said it's useless right now. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I've been joking about it just because it pisses Kazi off and it's kind of funny, right? But I'm going to be real. I'm very much a realist when it comes to these things. I want my club to score goals. I want my club to win games. It's not happening for Darwin right now. And I said, listen, keep him in there. Give him a chance until he gets his shit together. He's got his shit together except for finishing. And right now, he isn't doing it. So am I okay with playing Gakpo at the 9 and benching Darwin and bringing him at the end of the last few minutes here and there to cause that chaos bullshit we talk about? I'm okay with that. Am I okay with him playing on the left? Yes, because then he can do everything he's doing, which is right, minus the not scoring the goals, which we're all blaming him for. But he's not struggling, and he's not as whack as people make him seem like he is. He's just not getting goals. It took Suarez a time to get used to the club. It took freaking Peter Crouch a while to start scoring goals. I'm not too worried about Darwin's form. He's going to be just fine.
When
he's going to score
will you
goals.
worry time-wise? Because I've never seen a player get this much time in a long freaking time. Anybody else, if it was like anybody else, I don't think, because he shows efforts and passion and stuff, I think he gets the credit. But when will you say, give me a date where if we're still having the same conversations,
like an actual day?
Yeah, you will come back and say, you know what? Yeah.
I wore the light blue for Uruguay today for Darwin. Uruguay, here we go. So let me ask you this.
No. Nice try, though.
No.
I asked you to give a
He's not having that. He's not having that.
I have an answer. I have an answer.
Distract Uruguay?
I have an answer. I wrote it down. My answer is ready. But before I give you that answer.
Oh, here we go.
No. Just hear me out. Darwin, from now till the end of the season, gets 7 more goals in the league. I'm just 7 more goals. But
that's 10. That he left.
Okay.
10.
Yeah, 10. So he continues the contribution, gets about 6 more assists, and he's still one of the highest chance creating players in the league. And when he's on the pitch, we score more than when he's off the pitch as a team. Would you be happy?
No.
You wouldn't be happy if he's benefiting your team in every single way other than score more goals.
I don't understand. Okay, so if there's an alternative, so here's the thing. So he's not going to score. He's not like Bobby. If you like Bobby, when you talk about, making the team tick, and I don't care if you do not score then, but he's not making the offense tick.
But he is.
No, he's not. He's being offside is not making
He's creating chances. Tick. He's passing the ball. He's getting assists. I think he is. He's doing everything right except for putting the ball in the back of the net. Now listen, when this season ends, I didn't write nothing, by the way. When this season ends, I just wanted to when this season ends, I'll be able to say, listen, it's either working out or not working out. But I'm waiting for 2 things to happen. Thing number 1, I'm waiting for Salah to be gone for the African Cup of Nations. Once he's gone, I want to see how this team steps up, how they feel the urgency to fill that gap. Maybe that'll give them a boost because everybody's like, "Oh man, we're screwed when Salah has gone." I think it's the complete opposite. I think we're gonna be fine. Will the likes of Nunez and Gakpo and Jota step up and get more goals? I believe so. This is maybe when we see Nunez shine the most. Not sure. And the second thing, and you guys think I'm joking. You guys will think I'm biased. I'm waiting for Thiago to be able to play in that midfield so we can see a Szoboszlai, Thiago, McAllister midfield. Once we see that, I think we'll have more chances created. I think that connection between Thiago and Nunez will be visible on the field, and I think Nunez will benefit.
I mean,
Just an
chances of
opinion.
us seeing that is right about the same as me seeing Santa Claus this weekend.
I can make it happen just to prove you wrong. So let's hang on. Let's wait. Yes, he's not scoring goals.
So what are we waiting till? What was the
I said the end of the season. End of the season. End of the season. Okay. But if we win the league and the Europa League and the Carabao Cup,
despite him, you're going to be happy.
Something is working.
I think what's benefited Darwin a lot is that Lewis. No one's talking about it, right? Diaz has been equally or even more shit. Let me just
fucking Kazi.
Yeah,
Kazi, get out. Just get the fuck out. Just get out.
What were you saying, John? Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
We were just kicking Kazi out.
I think what's helped Darwin on that left side kind of deal and what's keeping him in the lineup is that Luis Diaz has been equally or even more so ineffective. Like, I get what Anand's saying. Like, we're talking about Darwin not scoring, but at least something's happening. With Diaz, I don't see it. Right, I don't see it at all with him, and whether it's the injury or his dad, that was a long time ago, right? I definitely think it's the injury now that's kind of affecting him. Like, he can't beat a man anymore, and that was his whole deal coming in. The reason why
it is odd. You're
right. The reason why we brought him in and put him into that left is because Mane can't beat a man anymore, so we put him into center. So he was supposed to be the next Sadio Mane, and now he can't even beat a man. And this is his third year in the league. It's kind of worrying. And listen, when I said that I would have Jota over him on that left side, even more so now, because, Jota can't beat a man, but he can freaking score. Diaz can't do either. So, listen, if there's anyone that's expendable, I know we're hating on Darwin a lot, but I think Luis Diaz has kind of gone under the radar here in terms of his underperformance this year. I think even more so than Darwin, I would say.
Probably. Yeah, I
mean, it's just easy to win Darwin because it's the trend, It's just more trendy. It's more likes.
Get your house on it, says Dave. Dave, come on, man.
I already did, so he better do something or I'm homeless.
And I've got the mortgage on Nunez.
The car, my kid, everything.
By the way, I did not want to let this slip by. John, do you remember a time where we were talking?
Don't even go there. No.
We were talking here about somebody yelling and screaming, saying Nunez will get more goals than Mo this year. And now we're settling for 10.
I do actually.
No habla inglés aquí. Hola.
From Uruguay.
¿Qué? Uruguay? ¿Qué? Goal? More salad? You want a more salad?
Oh dear.
Yeah,
we lost the non-peeps.
I think Diaz's form definitely has hurt. I think basically it has opened the door to be able to use Nunez there, like you're saying, John. I totally agree, because I think you need something there anyway. Let's face it, when they're both on the pitch, and I disagree, like Kazi was saying, he hasn't created chances. I mean, he has created chances. Like, he has done some passes. My thing with him is the whole offside thing is nuts. But I even stuck up for your boy. I thought in the West Ham game, for example, a couple of his offside was not on him. It's more on the passer, like it's getting released late, or he thought the guy Gakpo controlled the ball, but he hadn't yet, and stuff like that. But he has done it where you should never be offside against a team that's sitting back, especially when you're down the wing and you're looking down. And he did that quite a few times. Was that the Palace game? I mean, pick your game. He has done it a lot. I think being on the wing will help him because he'll get more space, because he needs space, I think, to do whatever the heck he can do. Whereas when he's in the middle with a team that's sitting back, he just does not get that space, and he can't use the speed. And I disagree strongly with Serzi that his forward press is better than Diaz and Salah's. Sprinting full speed to the goalie is not necessarily press. especially if you're taking the wrong angle half the time. So I think yes, he does go full out, but in terms of how like he covers angles and stuff like that, he's sometimes is where things fall out. The biggest difference between, I mean, I know nobody's going to be Bobby, right? But how Bobby started the press versus he starts the press. He has gotten a lot better. I'll give him that. Like compared to the Nunez in the beginning of the season, he's definitely gotten a lot better. But you can kind of tell where he loses it sometimes.
Yeah. What makes Nunez's press so special is the pace, how he starts, and that just creates that little panic. But it's not as good pressing as Bobby. It's not as good pressing as Salah. With Nunez, it's just because it's so sudden. He stops, and you're like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And then he stops. He's like, "Oh, I'm tired." So yeah,
it's full speed, so it looks better.
Speed,
I know that, and he does especially pressure the goalie to release the ball and stuff like that. I'll give him that. But sometimes, if you look at the angle he comes in, when he's in the game, when his head is in the game, he's doing his own thing. He remembers everything that was taught to him. He's a good presser. There are times where he just, and that goes back to the maturity issue I have with him. Well, so that was one of the headlines that, headlines are being sent on.
John
sent was the fact that if he gets a yellow this game, he will not be playing against Burnley.
I would definitely bet on him getting a freaking yellow against Arsenal.
Yeah. In other words, he's not going to be playing against Burnley.
So here's a good question. And this isn't me. It's not a trick question. Darwin plays for Uruguay and he scores goals. He's in great form playing for his country. What do we think the difference is playing for country and club in his situation? Because if he's a bad finisher, he would be a bad finisher for both.
System.
Why? Okay.
Yeah.
So
what about you? What he is going up against?
I mean, 2 against Brazil is pretty.
But exactly, it's not a team that's known for defending or sitting back.
Okay, so Man United and Palace and all those people are known for defending and sitting back.
Well, United was.
United was.
When it sits back, he can't use speed. And that's
didn't I tell you guys? Didn't I tell you guys smaller clubs will come to Anfield and park the bus? There you go. United did it. But yeah, I think the system. Yeah, maybe those teams aren't sitting back so much. But I also think the pressure of being in the Premier League is still in his head, and the pressure from the fans is still in his head, and it breaks my heart. But we'll get there. Give me the next headline that John sent.
I have never seen a player get so. I mean, he can't talk about the fans at all. Because am I right, John? I mean, like we've had a lot of players that get a lot of and stuff like that from fans. I mean, Nunez like trips on his own shoelaces, and people are like Nunez, because I think everybody is basically like hoping that is the issue, and they're doing everything over the top, if you will, to get him going. Because everybody is under and I do agree there is a possibility. I'm seeing that possibility get less and less as I see more, unfortunately, that something is going to click and he's going to get going. Because the reason I say that, John, is I thought Newcastle game was that game for
him. Same.
And it didn't happen. And we've had other games where I was like, here, down, now. And nope, back to it's like, do not collect and go back to, that's what's happening.
Yeah, that Newcastle game, like I was firmly on the Darwin train there. And I did say against United, Johnny Evans and a washed-up Rafael Varane, we have to put Nunez there. And look what happened. Like the thing with Nunez, all right, I don't want to make ultimatums, but I'll make one anyway. I think this season, if he doesn't perform to standard, I think serious questions are going to be asked in terms of selling. I think this year is like he has to get over 10 goals in the league, I feel, and become a player if we're going to win silverware, in which he's massively contributed on the statistical front.
If that's only the goals he's getting, especially with Mo being out, we're in shits anyway. Probably.
Right. If he performs well when Mo is out, I think he's like a Liverpool player for the next 3 or 4 years. I think AFCON is big, and I think Anand said that as well. It's big. So I think if Nunez doesn't perform there, I think serious questions are going to be asked towards this and towards the end of the season, because we always said he's better with Mo. It's been how many weeks now? Right? Yeah. He's been with Mo and nothing's been working out. Like, I don't know. like I love the guy. He's you're asking Tim why do fans support him a lot, because he's not hard to like. He gives it his all, like
Yes.
200%. Right? It just doesn't work out. It just doesn't work out. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. So hopefully it works out with Nunez. But yeah, I'm giving him until the end of the season to kind of come up and conjure up a decent to good season. Otherwise,
He will.
questions need to be asked, because
I was like, he will.
at this level, you get those chances he's had. You got to bury it.
He created those chances.
Brian says, I feel like Nunez needs constant affirmation. He's good enough, and doggone it, people like him. Maybe we just need to get him a mirror. Would sell Diaz before selling Nunez?
I agree, though.
I don't think
agree.
either one of them. I don't think, even if he doesn't perform, you sell Nunez just because of the loss you would take for one. I think you kind of like try to come up with different ways to, because obviously there's something there. It's just a matter of, when the raw talents converts kind of thing. He's definitely young, and he's definitely new to the Premier League. So he does get a lot of benefit of the doubt, and he does help create chances. At the same time, you got to eliminate, for you to be a long-term player, like John is saying, if he's going to be a long-term player, you got to show that you are eliminating weaknesses as you go. And, we'll, I guess, see if that happens or not.
Would definitely sell Diaz, though. 100% before Nunez. Like
before Nunez.
Yeah,
I don't see Diaz going anywhere either. I think, dude, okay. See, you guys are going to get me going here. Could there be a reason that left side is suddenly really struggling?
Robertson?
Nah, they can't beat a man, Tim. That's it. Like,
that's one thing I actually thought Nunez was playing better with Tsimikas. I don't know why.
No, I don't think it's the fullback. Yeah, they can't beat a man. Nunez can beat a man. That's why he's worked out there last game. Like, obviously, small sample size, right? It's against West Ham, a very poor West Ham, so we'll see how it's going to go. But with Gakpo kind of dictating the things on the center, a more intelligent player, and with Nunez not being forced to think too much, to just beat a man there on the left, I think it's going to help him massively. Diaz could not beat a man anymore. That is just the bare requirement we need from someone on the left. Can you
on
beat
the wing,
man?
especially. I agree to that. I mean, and that's the thing, though. I feel like if you had Diaz playing with Gakpo, you would get better results. I feel like Diaz and Nunez don't work because Nunez keeps coming to the left and there's nowhere to go. How many times has Diaz cut in, has actually beaten his man, but his path is blocked because Nunez is there, so the guy covering Nunez is there as well. I think that's part of like the problem with Diaz and Nunez mix, kind of like the Gravenberch Szoboszlai thing. Just because they're two great players doesn't mean on the pitch at the same time it's going to work out. But yeah, and I agree with what John is saying too. The less I think Nunez thinks, the better, because you can kind of sometimes see where he has the ball and he's thinking, like you can feel like the hamster is running, and that's when like the attack stops. You're like, dude, you got to do something with the ball at this point. Like, we've been waiting here for 5 seconds. Do something.
Pause the game. Jeopardy music comes out. Dun, 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 dun,
I can
dun,
see all his
dun.
teammates looking at him was like, well.
Then he announces his decision before he does it. Guys, I'm going to shoot.
I think I'm going to. And that's the thing. He has that threat of cutting inside and being able to shoot. And he's a lot better at that than Diaz. Let's face it. I mean, Diaz has scored a couple, but he has taken a lot more shots than he's scored from there. That's for sure. So I think he brings that threat to be able to cut in. And obviously he has the speed to beat you. So he might be the way to go. Having said all this, early predictions for tomorrow. What do you guys expect to see up top?
Anon, you go.
Yeah, you go.
Darwin starts
On the left?
in the center.
Ugh.
And this isn't what I want. This is what I think is going to
Oh, okay.
I want him on the left.
What happened? This guy was going to be such a center forward.
I think he'll start. Yeah, it's going to be Diaz, Salah, and Nunez one last time before they head out to AFCON.
That's a good question, actually. Would you play Diaz on the right? You might have to.
I
play
brought that
Diaz
up.
on
Yeah.
the right.
You will have to, because Jota will take the left or Nunez will take the left.
Yeah, Doak going out is just. I mean, not that honestly, I put a lot of stock in there. You might see Szoboszlai and Elliott's over there, to be honest, as well. Probably Szoboszlai if they're both on the pitch at the same time. But John, who do you have up top?
Yeah, like I said a while ago, I want Nunez on the left, but based on his substitution patterns, I think it's Gakpo, Diaz, Salah, unfortunately, and I don't think that's the way to go. Yeah, Diaz can't beat a man.
When you say
Again.
Gakpo, Diaz, Salah, do you mean Diaz in the
Oh no, sorry, yeah, I
center
got that.
or Diaz on the left?
Yeah, Diaz on the left.
Okay.
Diaz, Gakpo. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Gakpo would be better on the side note. Gakpo would be better on the left than Diaz at this point. Like I know I sound like I'm hating on Diaz, but I'm just really
Why do you say that?
Not at all. You've only been saying Diaz can't beat a man for 47 minutes.
Truth hurts, man. The truth hurts. Yeah, it's just because he's the player I'm most disappointed in this year. So I'll just
he has definitely underperformed. But like I say, I do put partially that's on the fact that it's just not working with Nunez in the middle as well. But
yeah, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I mean, together they're not working well. Together they're not working well because your boy keeps coming to the left because that's his thing. I mean, he did that in Benfica. He does in Uruguay. He slides like he likes going shifting towards the left and goes into that area where if Diaz cuts in, he runs on. You never had, and that's where like the overall spacing and intelligence of the game and how raw he is. Like Bickler always talks about him versus Gakpo in terms of like upbringing, coming through the Dutch system where he's probably taught a lot more technical stuff. Whereas, I mean, Uruguay, it was just like, a kid that, grabbed the ball and play. And then once you come to Portugal and stuff, yeah, but it takes time to get all that stuff. Bobby would be smart enough to create you that space. Whereas I feel like Nunez blocks that space, and there's a huge difference there.
They're so different, Gakpo and Nunez, that they complement each other so well, I feel.
And I think that's why it's a good way to get them both at the same time when you have Nunez on the left. But so obviously the back line speaks for itself and writes itself in there. Midfield. Because I'm assuming Trent is not going to be at 6. Trent is going to be right back. So what do we have midfield? Endo at the 6 because we don't have another option. Who is the other 2? As great as Jones played, does he go back out there again? Because this
Sparky,
Sparky's out of me.
It's like a bad signal, right?
Yeah, it is a bad signal. I said Jones, and Sparky's like, let's watch that right away.
It's gonna be Jones. It's gonna be Jones. I want Elliott. I really want Elliott. He's been amazing every time he gets on that pitch. Instead of Jones. Okay. On the left, yes, because I know everybody's like, wait, you just put Elliott on the left. You know what? I would. But I think it's going to be Jones, Szoboszlai, and Endo. Jones earned it, deserves it. I am all for it. There you go. That's it, Ryan.
For it as well. Do you guys think him just playing 90 minutes is going to be an issue?
I think that was to get him ready for this game.
By wearing him now?
Absolutely. It's Jurgen.
When you're doing well and, things are going your way, you can play for 110 minutes. It doesn't feel like 110, but love Elliott off the bench for I think that's the thing. I do like Elliott coming off the bench a lot more. And he's a smart player as well. He's the kind of guy that, as he watches the game, like when he comes in, he knows what to do. He's seen some stuff and he knows what to do. So early score predictions.
I'm not doing it.
So wait, are you? Well, obviously, how long is this flight? 13 hours.
I'll be in Frankfurt for.
So
it's 9 hours to Frankfurt, 7 hours in Frankfurt. I arrived on Christmas Eve, so I'll definitely miss the game.
Yikes! Yeah, I don't miss those flights. Those are long as hell because I used to do over Frankfurt too, going to Istanbul. And
I was actually going to take the Turkish Airlines and stop in Istanbul, but the stop was too long.
There's no such thing as stopping too long in Istanbul.
That is true. I can go
I do hear like the new. I haven't seen it, but the new airport is like freaking Mall of America.
It's got. You can do your hair transplant and your teeth at the airport. So.
We're importing beauty.
Yeah. I might just push my flight for a day and watch the game because there's the same flight tomorrow at 3:30. I could just watch
I'm sure the wife will be thrilled that you're coming a day late. Oh, no, wife doesn't care. Wife is in California.
Yeah. Let me call Lufthansa and see what I can do here.
If we win, we know why we won. Anon, delayed his flight. So
yeah, I might make it happen. I'll see.
I haven't taken it in decades, but Lufthansa food is brutal. So pack your own lunch. Okay, let's get some score predictions. John,
Three
Sparks is
two,
going with a 2-1 win.
3-2. High scoring. I feel chances on both sides. Why I'm somewhat more positive in this game compared, like obviously on the back of our United performance. I'm 100% confident now that Arsenal will try to play with us. So I feel like in an open game at Anfield, no matter how shit our team is, a club team as well, you'd always have to give us the edge in these kinds of encounters. So a 3-2 win for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm going 1-0. And I'm hoping for which we should have talked about, the atmosphere at Anfield. I'm hoping for a better atmosphere, but I'd go 1-0, heavily defensive game. Both teams very cautious. We beat them on the break. Darwin scores.
Of course. What a plot twist that is at the end. Nobody saw that coming. I am going with the 3-2. I do like the 3-2 more, but I can see what Ryan is saying with the 2-2. I think even though they try to defend, I think these teams have too much. I mean, especially if it's an open game, there will be chances. I just don't know how confident I am about our defending in this game and how well Endo has done really well recently. I just hope, against. Let's face it, though, like every team we played recently had not really come at us. And I want to see him kind of have that back four against a team who's actually attacking and has possession and stuff like that.
Before we go, guys, let me ask you, do you guys think the onus is actually on Arsenal here to attack? Because they're the league leaders, right? They haven't won the Premier League yet, while we have. So isn't there this chip on their shoulder where they have to prove, this is indeed our year? Will beat Liverpool at their own game, at their own home field, playing silky smooth Arteta ball, right? So that's kind of what is going into my thinking of it being an open game. Do you guys think that plays?
Yeah, I see what you mean. But to be fair, do you guys think at the same time if the situation was reversed, I don't think if they go with a draw back home, if the game is 2-2. I don't think Arsenal is too depressed about. I mean, I think they would say there's no shame in losing points away to Liverpool, knowing most teams would lose points. If it was home, I see what you mean. I think the fact that who's this bozo? Don't put his comments on the screen. Not that we have to see him on the screen. I think that's the thing. Because it's at Anfield, I think they would take the draw and run with it. Not that I'm saying they will play for a draw, but they would be okay with the point. I don't even know. Like Sparky says, they'll be happy with the point. I don't know about happy, but they'll definitely be content. They won't be, there's no shame in losing points. If you're going to lose points, that's not a bad place to lose points at Anfield away, knowing most of your other competitors will do the same thing too. And your opponent is losing points at the same time. And the reverse fixture, you're going to be home in the second part of the season. What do you think on that?
Yeah, and I think Arteta wouldn't mind that. I think that's a one, looking at the cup half full, if we come out with a 1-1 or a 2-2 or 0-0, we're still on top. And now they got to come and play us at home.
Yeah.
So let's take a point away from them. Let's hurt them again at home. They haven't lost a game at home, 11 in a row, whatever. Now United came and took a point. Now we come in and take a point. Now Klopp's talking about the atmosphere. Let's hurt them where it hurts. Let's take that point away, and then they'll come play in our backyard. They wouldn't mind the draw at all.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about that, but I mean, I thought that was kind of it's funny because my brother actually sent me the quote of all people, because something similar happened back home. And a lot of shit was talked about. People got offended and talked shit about the manager. But I feel like it's totally different in this scenario where, one, a lot of people admitted that it was bad recently.
Yeah.
And two, I think Klopp is more a godlike figure that nobody's going to question
what
he says and get offended by it.
Even if he was wrong, they will agree with him just not to upset him. Yeah. And I was talking to my buddy who's down in Liverpool, and he said, I don't want to sound like a dickhead, but I think a lot of the reason why the atmosphere is starting to go down is with the new standard filling it in with a lot more tourists, a lot more people who aren't really familiar with the Anfield atmosphere, and it's taking a toll on us. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah,
I wasn't
that's
there.
The typical cop-out is what I feel like, because anytime Liverpool travels to I mean, I saw a tweet and somebody was saying if that's the case, when they travel international, they're always playing to a crazy atmosphere. So I don't think it's the tourists. I think it's more, I don't know, being spoiled, complacent, too many games. People are out of shape. They can't keep up. I mean, because a lot of people were saying even the cup was kind of sucking recently, and you rarely ever hear. I
Yeah,
don't care how quiet those new 6,000 people are.
yeah,
You rarely ever hear the away fans being so loud, and you can actually hear the away fans on TV at Anfield. So what are the other 50,000 people doing? Then is my thing. I think that's a
yeah.
something like
Yeah, last Wednesday we didn't. It didn't look like we advanced to a semi. Honestly, I can see where Klopp's coming from. Like those goals, that goal Szoboszlai scored, it was a banger. And it was
yeah.
like, yay! That was it. That was
Yeah,
it. I was just like, what? Come on.
yeah, it was always like about time. We've been
Yeah,
pressuring all this
yeah.
time, kind of a
Jeez.
feeling. Yeah, it just did not feel. I don't know because the cup game. I don't know why, but it just did not feel right. And I
Yeah,
agree. I think here's another thing. He knows that this is a really, really tough game, and if I bet you, he felt that after the United game. But a better timing to pull it out of your back pocket is before Arsenal instead of before West Ham.
I think we get crazy scenes tomorrow with a bus welcome and some pyros and the
Yeah.
fans going crazy before the game, and then during the match, 90 minutes, all you hear is chanting, singing, and screaming. So I think we're in for a good. I'm pushing my fly. I think we're in for a very good game with a great atmosphere. So 1-0 Liverpool. Let's go.
I hope so. I don't. I 1-0 seems a little painful, but it is what it is. Hopefully, it'll be like a nice Christmas gift of some
Yeah.
sort. Well, we'll be definitely here before the pre-match, right after the lineup comes out. God knows where Anam will be. We'll see what Lufthansa says to see if he's gonna make the pre-match. But yes, tune in once the lineup comes out. We'll go on air. As always, like, subscribe, and all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody. A great weekend. Great holidays. If we don't catch you tomorrow, take care.
Take care.
Thank you.